Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our August 13th, 2019 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including the DC 7 film collection. We're going to be talking about the upcoming Season 2 finale of Krypton, comic book delays, and so much more. We'll also be turning to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my very tired co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. Now, since WGBS Live is all about Superman, we want to hear from the Superman fans that are watching us live on YouTube that I can now see the comments of because I got signed out of my YouTube account, apparently. So around the halfway mark of the show, and if we don't have too much on the docket and technology is on our side, we will try to start taking your calls. To do this, you'll need Skype. Go on to Skype, find Superman homepage, and message us that you'd like to be on the show. Now, a couple of important things. One, message us. Because if you just call us, it can screw up the tin cans that Steve and I have tied between us to do this show. And also, if you're using an external speaker and not listening through headphones, please turn down your audio as we are on a delay, and that creates a weird feedback thing.
Yes, indeed. So that's how you get involved in tonight's show. If we have enough time, as Michael said, we'll try to get to some callers tonight. And we don't have a lot of topics to discuss, but we will see how we go. So let's start with, before we do start with topics, for those who are tuning in live via YouTube to watch tonight's show, we invite you to join in, chat with other people who are watching, post your comments, ask questions, and Michael and I will keep an eye on your comments on YouTube throughout the show. And a huge thank you to our sponsor and patron, Douglas Meacham. And remember, if you'd like to support WGBS TV Live or the Superman homepage in general, then please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage. We really appreciate your support. All right, well, might be an idea if you mute that phone, Michael.
What are you talking about? That's a great sound to have in the middle of a show.
Let's start with movie news, as we like to do. And while there isn't a lot on the movie front, we do have this 7-film collection that DC and Warner Brothers announced this past week. It's a collection of 7 of their epic superhero films, including Shazam, Aquaman, Justice League, Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, and Man of Steel. And it will be released on October 1st.
Don't you mean all of the films that we've released thus far? I mean,
yes, that's right.
I mean, it's just it's cool that they're doing this, and especially that they're doing it in the 4K, which still means nothing to me. But it is kind of neat that they've gotten to the point where they have 7 movies that they can kind of show, that they can package together like this. But last year they had like the 5-movie collection, and then now we've just added Aquaman and Shazam, which oddly enough I still have not seen either one of those, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, I haven't seen Shazam yet. I wanted to see it, just couldn't get to the theatre to go see it. But I saw Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad. I saw in the Australian premiere. Didn't really like Suicide Squad, but the obviously Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League I have seen. So yes, interesting. A collection of all the movies that they've released so far. A lot of fans saying, I've already got most of these, so you're going to go out and buy it. I don't blame you. It's obviously, this was always going to happen. There was always going to be a box set, a collection of these kinds of things. That's just what they do.
I mean, do they just repackage like all of the DVDs that didn't sell before? I'm kind of curious about how these things work. I really am. Because I know, like, stuff sits on the shelf. So do they get returns and they just take them out of the old packaging and putting them in the new package and just release them? I mean, it'd be kind of interesting. Though I will say this. I did see, just because I was curious, I watched an extended clip from Shazam towards the end of the film, and the flying effects in that movie look amazing. Cool. Like there's a scene of Savannah and him flying through a city And I'm like, this is what Richard Lester wanted to do back in 1980 when he was doing Superman 2, because it just looks so smooth.
That's the box set coming out of the 7 DC films that have been released to date. October 1st, you can pre-order yours through the Superman homepage website. Alright, well, we turn our attention to the television, and Krypton episode 9 of season 2, titled Blood Moon, aired on Sci-Fi this past week. And our reviewer, Michael J. Petty, submitted his review. He gave this a high 5 out of 5 rating, saying that this week's episode of Krypton is a stellar penultimate episode that both hits home emotionally and sends us on our way for the final chapter of the season in next week's finale. And I've got to agree, this was a great episode. It's just building nicely. It's like that big episode that happens right before the finale where you know it's going to be huge and you know it's going to be spectacular, and it's just hitting all the right notes.
You have to do that when you only have 10 episodes. It's not like Smallville, where the one before the season finale is like the silly episode.
Yeah.
Where they can do goofy stuff.
Which is interesting, the fact that in 10 episodes they've fit so much in, and yet they've timed it so well. I've been really impressed, with... It sounds like 10 episodes just not long enough, but the thing with a 22 episode season that you normally get with television, you do find that there are filler episodes that just seem to drag things on, like they're just trying to get to a place in time that they can do what they really want to do with the finale, or as they're heading towards the finale. So with 10 episodes, it's like we've got to pack in as much as we can to make this really worthwhile, and I think they've just done a stellar job.
And I think it also the planning is a lot more compact as well, because they know they only have this amount of time, so they do have to cram as much in there as humanly possible. And it's just some people was on a panel a couple years ago, and I made the comment that having 10 episodes or 15 episodes or 8 episodes means there's no filler, and somebody raised their hand and said, but I like the filler. So one, you're not going to please everybody, and two, there is something to be said. I mean, one of my favorite episodes of Smallville ever was the one where they kind of did their version of The Hangover. It was like a last season episode where everybody couldn't remember the night before, and I thought it was an amazing episode. I found out I was wrong, according to the internet. Apparently it was one of the worst, but it did give kind of the cast a chance to have a little bit of fun and do some character growth, whereas I think now they have to do that on the fly. Especially with a show like Krypton, you have to do everything in action, because you don't have those kind of like you were saying, filler episodes.
And we have the promo for the next episode, which is the finale of season 2, and there's a couple of sneak peeks also been released online, but I will play the promo for the finale of season 2 right now. Here is Krypton season 2 episode 10, titled The Alpha and the Omega.
Listen as I explain how you are gonna help me.
It's time for this madness to end!
I intend to savor the eradication of every last rebel. You are no Superman.
You are not Superman, it's said there at the end. Interesting to see Lobo back. I thought he was done, but he's obviously returning for the finale, and hopefully that kind of story will come full circle and wrap it up and see what his involvement is in that particular episode.
Yeah, I apparently we're having some lag according to the people in the comments, so that's wow. I mean, this technology is amazing. Yeah, I look forward to the upcoming month when I'm going to have time to sit down and watch all of these. So I will give a full report at that time. But it looks great. I'm still just completely blown away about how good Brainiac looks. Like anytime I see a clip of him, it's just like how can you do that makeup so well?
Imagine sitting in a chair all that time, having to, sit there and get all that green and the attachments, and it doesn't even look like the actor who I've met. Just I can't even see the resemblance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the upcoming episode for the finale of season 2, Wednesday, August 14th on Sci-Fi there in the US at 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. Central. It's also here in Australia on Sci-Fi on Thursdays. I think it's 7:30 p.m. On Sci-Fi. So, looking forward to the finale of season 2 of Krypton. Cannot wait to see what they do with that, and hopefully we get an announcement from Sci-Fi that a season 3 is in the works or has been picked up, because I think this show really deserves it. I think we've spoken about the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes and all those kind of reviews it's been getting. I don't know what the ratings were particularly like, but it's been doing really well from what I hear.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that too. I guess this is the kind of new age of television shaking itself out a little bit more, allowing them to do these like niche shows that develop a small but loyal and hopefully profitable fan base for their advertising.
So that's where things are at with Krypton. Waiting to hear more. But elsewhere on television, you've got Young Justice Outsiders. Episode 22 is now available on the DC Universe digital streaming service. It was titled, or it is titled, I should say, Antisocial Pathologies. And the number of images, an image gallery of stills from this episode was released online. The betrayals come fast and furious, and with them a reckoning. And we've got a number of images here that I'm showing cycling through from this particular episode. Obviously I have not seen it, don't have DC Universe digital streaming service here in Australia, but Young Justice has been renewed for a 4th season, so that is great news. As far as the final 3 episodes are concerned, they are titled Terminus, Into the Breach, and Nevermore, and they will all be released in one go next week on Tuesday, August 20th. So you'll be able to watch the final 3 episodes of Season 3 of Young Justice, or Young Justice Outsiders as it is known, all on Tuesday, August 20th.
That's interesting. I wonder why they're releasing all 3 of the last episodes.
Well, I believe they did the same thing with the first 3 episodes. So
okay.
It's just
that
a
makes
thing
sense.
they do. Maybe it's like a 3-part kind of storyline where you can just do a movie length kind of sit down viewing.
Yeah, I maybe they're just trying to figure out the best way to release these things, since they're not doing the Netflix model of releasing everything all at once.
So interesting to see how the reviews are for the final 3 episodes of Young Justice Outsiders, which, as I said, will be available on the DC Universe service August 20th. Alright, well, we'll continue on and we look to the comic book side of things. Now, I haven't had a chance to read this past week's comic books, just so much on my plate at the moment, but Lois Lane #2, the second of the 12-part maxi series that's available now, was released this past week, and our reviewer Mario Benisi gave it a 4 out of 5, saying, "I really wish this weren't a monthly book. I'm invested in this story more than I thought I would be, and it all comes down to Rucka's writing." And I think that's the thing. Particular fans, comic book fans, really dig certain writers' styles, and it doesn't matter what story they're telling, they just get sucked into the story via the way this particular writer tells, writes in their writing style. And Greg Rucka is one of those writers who, doesn't matter what he's writing, seems to just always hit the mark so well.
Yeah, I was a fan of his, good Lord, going back almost 20 years when I discovered his novelization of the No Man's Land storyline that ran through the Batman books, and he was, probably with Gail Simone coming in a close second around that time period, around Infinite Crisis, like the best of the Superman writers, and really, I think did a good job of kind of righting the ship after the early 2000s. And he tried to come back, during the whole new Krypton storyline that apparently wasn't a positive experience for him. But now it seems a lot different, and the fact that he's getting to write Lois, I think, is even better. And here's the thing, I know people want Lois Lane to be an ongoing, and I'm not opposed to the idea, so don't take it like that. But I'm wondering if having it be like a mini-series, and if that does well, do another mini-series, would be a better way to do the book, instead of taking the chance of a monthly book just getting to the point where the audience just tapers off. There seems to be, with books like this, a tendency to, like, everyone's really excited in the first year of it, and then the more fair weather fans, there's nothing wrong with that, but kind of drop off, and then sales drop, and then the book's canceled. So maybe it's better to do 6-issue miniseries once a year and keep that excitement level up.
Yeah, it's not a bad point. And it's interesting to note that these particular stories, in this particular one, remember we were talking about the scandal of Lois and Superman kissing, or that that is everywhere supposedly in this story, but Lois goes about her work unfazed and continues doing her investigative reporting with the Question and going to Moscow and everything there. So that's going to play out sooner or later. That she's going to have to confront that, and Superman is going to have to answer to it, and there's going to be some kind of massive deal made of it somewhere down the track once this whole thing with the underground world, all Cadmus and all these other places having been decimated. There's going to be a fallout somewhere along the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope that it's not a cop-out, but at the same time, I'm not really... I don't like this whole, Lois has been caught kissing Superman, that's a big thing, maybe they're teasing, probably won't go through with it, that they're going to give up his identity, but I think Bendis has done a good job of reestablishing Clark Kent.
Yeah.
So if you take Clark Kent away now, that's kind of a slap in the face of the fan base. So, but of course, he would probably say this is all part of my plan. You just got to stick with it, and because he kind of did a similar thing with Daredevil, where he outed Daredevil. So, not that I think that's where he's going with it, but since this is all one big tapestry now, I like that Ruck is dealing with it, but not dealing with it, if that makes any sense.
Now, there were supposed to be a couple of Superman and there was supposed to be a Superman and Supergirl comic book released this coming week. But DC Comics have asked retailers to destroy those comic books, not to release them, because they've had to change the story content and the covers and pretty much re-release them, and they won't be out this week. Superman, I'm told by the people at DC Comics, Superman will be released, Superman number 14 that is, will be released on August 28th, so in 2 weeks' time. And Supergirl number 33 will be released on September 4th. But supposedly the covers, and I'll show you what they were supposed to look like. Where are we here? So Supergirl number 33 was originally solicited to look like this, and that, I imagine, is what was sent out to retailers this week. But they have changed it to a very similar and nearly identical cover by a different artist, and it now looks like this. And the change, well, the story retains its Year of the Villain branding, but also adds a Legion of Superheroes, Legion element as a tease. So there's something in there for the Legion of Superheroes. I'm guessing the Millennium story that's coming up will be teased in there as well. Where Superman number 14 looked like this as solicited, and it made part of the background of our website. Now we'll have a totally different cover and will look like this, and it now no longer has the Year of the Villain Dark Gifts tagging at the top as per the previous old cover, but also adds the Legion of Superheroes additional material at the back of the book. So quite interesting that this is kind of such a late withdrawal.
Yeah, like, how does that happen? It's not like it just goes to the printer, willy-nilly. There's like a whole, process, I'm sure. And I'm guessing that the covers they initially used for the solicitations were used that way because they didn't want to, give away the Legion thing when they were soliciting these, a couple months ago. But and maybe the contents of this issue were supposed to be completely different of the Superman issue, because you have that evil looking Lex, telling Lois not to look at that type of stuff on the internet. It's almost like a PSA comic, really. But you can add that Legion thing to anything, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to put that on the solicitation, but it could be on the final one. It's funny because the comic shop that I go to, as soon as they announced this, like about 2 hours later, they posted on their Facebook page, please, a very polite way of saying, please stop asking us to hold it, we have to destroy it. Because comic shops have to destroy this.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be unscrupulous shops out there selling copies and hoarding them, and then, probably through a third or fourth party putting them up on eBay, months down the line. But it's really weird that something like this happens. And this, think about the amount of money DC just lost on this issue.
And it's interesting because there has been recent articles and comments by Jim Lee about how comic book sales have really kind of bottomed out, and there's really not they haven't picked up to where they were hoping that they would be. So for them to take a hit with a massive printing and shipping debacle like this is probably not great for their bottom line.
Yeah, it's just like it's like when your sales are down and you have somebody return something really expensive. It's just kind of like insult to injury. So I'm wondering what they want. This is going to lead on hopefully not into a rant on DC Comics, but how long do the people in charge of DC that have been in charge of DC for almost 10 years now keep going, man, sales just aren't improving? What's the problem? You guys aren't doing what you need to do. We're failing because these reprints, these reprint books are selling so much more than our regular books. I think it's almost like, this whole building's on fire. I wonder what's wrong with the building. It's just like, well, maybe you need to put it out. And if you're not the people to put it out, maybe they... I don't want to say, especially, with the economy being how it is, I don't want anybody out of work. I will say I think Jim Lee could probably survive the rest of his life on doing commissions of his old stuff and making money off of the many reprints that DC does. They just did a Hush movie, so I'm sure he saw a piece of that. I'm not saying that these people would probably end up in the poorhouse, but at the same time, Dan DiDio has been in charge of DC on one level or another for almost 20 years now. And Jim Lee has been his co-publisher since 2010, I believe, is when they restructured everything and it became DC Entertainment and not DC Comics anymore. And we have gone through one debacle after another. They always get to this point where they're like, oh my God, everything's, terrible. We have to change something. They change it. The people react to it. And then it's like, I don't want to say this because I'm not saying that they're addicts, but it's almost like an addict that cleans up his act and then immediately goes back to like hanging out with the people he shouldn't hang out with. It seems that's what DC does.
Yeah.
And now we're in a position where things have been pretty stable, it looks like. I mean, we've had Bendis on the books for over a year now. We've had the same creative teams on the books for 2 years before that. But I don't know. It's just really strange. I don't quite believe these articles that are from reputable websites, I might add, that are saying things like, Warner Brothers, like AT&T and Warner Brothers don't care about DC Comics. I doubt that. It's an intellectual property farm at this point. But
because you've got to remember that DC Comics isn't just a comic book publisher.
yeah,
There's hats, there's T-shirts, there's posters, there's all the merchandising and that goes with those characters that comes under the DC Entertainment umbrella. So that's a massive, massive windfall for Warner Brothers.
which is something that that Warner Brothers used to not utilize as much as it did until it restructured under DC Entertainment. So it's kind of interesting that we keep coming again and again to the same place. And I realize that publishing in and of itself has been in kind of an upheaval for the last 20 years. But I don't know, it's just like you've had the same people in charge for a long time, and in a creative business, you got to switch that up. You've got to get fresh people in there to kind of shake things up. I'm not saying fire all the creative teams, because like I said, Bendis has been doing a really good job with Superman. I wouldn't want to take him off the book. Bendis is going to sell no matter what, but do the people, in the editorial department or on the executive level really need to be there anymore?
Venkman's got a question for you in the comments.
How much am I enjoying Bendis's Superman run? For the people that can't see the comments after the fact, I'm enjoying it as much as I thought I would, and I really thought I was going to enjoy it in the first place. I think Bendis said all the right things he needed to. The Rogol Zar story I thought was going to play itself out fast, but with the way he's paced it out, it's been kind of interesting. And I've loved Action Comics. Action has been my favorite, so I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm very satisfied as a fan right now.
There you go. I didn't know I could highlight a comment there by bringing it into the window. It's nice, eh?
Look at that.
Even got his little icon there, his little Venkman. So there you go.
Venkman, if you want to talk about a real Ghostbusters fan, that's Venkman. I know for a fact that he loves that cartoon. So
there you go. So that's the changes to those comic books that we mentioned, and we will get to what comic books are coming out this week right after the break. So we'll be going to a short break, playing some messages, and remember, if you do want to be part of our show tonight, head to Skype, find the Superman homepage, send us a message saying you want to be a caller on the show, and we will try to get you on if your internet is stable as part of our show tonight. We'll be back shortly.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer, the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Superman movie is brought to you by Canon, the world's leading camera manufacturer.
Quick, it's happy!
Canavision 8 camcorders.
Hey, I thought you were Superman, huh?
Hey, I am!
If it moves, shoot it with a cannon.
And we're back on WGBS TV Live, where I was about to do our guest call-in number is... Remember that? We used to have that guest call-in number?
Yes. You know, it's funny. We've been doing the video thing for almost 2 years now, and I'm still referring that to a flash chat.
Yeah, so old habits.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
So, as for the comic books that are coming out this week, and without Superman and Supergirl on the docket, as I mentioned, them being delayed a couple of extra weeks, it's slim pickings. All we do have this week are Event Leviathan number 3, Who is Under the Red Hood. That is out also in a variant cover, which looks like this. And then the only other thing we have this week is a trade paperback, Justice League of America, Last Survivors of Earth. So that is also out this week. I'm not sure which stories that includes. I think it's reprints of some of the Silver Age, obviously, comic books. I had the inclusions earlier, but I've misplaced that note. But that is out this week as well.
Yeah, it looks like they're getting into the 70s at that point.
Yeah.
Especially with Black Canary being on the team and all that. So I wonder if that's the rebranding of the Justice League and the Bronze Age books they were doing, that they just stopped doing for some bizarre reason. So that's a really overly busy cover.
Yeah, it's having a look here, just opened up the Amazon page. It's including come on, Amazon, open up for me. Doesn't. Here we go. Read more. It's from the 1970s. It's got favourites from Denny O'Neil, Mike Frederick, with contributions by artist Dick Dillon. It reprints Justice League of America number 77 to 95.
Mm-hmm.
So that is that particular book. And like I said, slim pickings this week for Superman fans with the delay of Supergirl and Superman titles by a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's amazing. Dick Dillon drew Justice League for well over a decade, straight through, never missed an issue. And sadly passed away young, but it's just interesting that artistically that book pretty much looked the same for 15 or so years.
Apologies if the vision was going blurry then. Yeah, it sometimes comes in and out, but that's just technology. As long as you can hear us, there isn't much to look at when it's just the two of us on screen. That's why we put up graphics all the time. John asking, says, Dear Justice League interview Steve did, I watched part of it over this past weekend. I'll get to that in a second. I had a nice chat with the author, Michael Northrop, of Dear Justice League and the graphic novel, and I'll discuss that in a second. But this one came to light across my desk anyway today, and I think it's been a lot of people have been talking about it over the last couple of days. This free video game titled Undefeated. It's created by 3 students from the Vanton Game Academy in Osaka, and it's available on Steam, which is I think for Windows PCs, and it shows us what a good Superman video game could be like. It doesn't have any kind of lifeline thing where you've got to, you have a certain amount of lives, or you've got an energy bar that you get depleted or anything like that. You've got unbelievable powers. You can protect the city. You've got things you have to do. You can fly over the city to patrol the streets, look out for crime or trouble, and use your unlimited power to keep the city safe. And I guess it's based on whether or not you're successful in those endeavors. But I'll show you some of the footage here, and like I said, it's free. It's like a demo, I think, or something along those lines.
Yeah, the article about it today, I don't really play video games all that much, unfortunately, and not on Steam especially, but I mean, it looks... I really think that a good Superman game can be had. It's just no one's ever really put the time and effort into doing it because people don't think Superman will sell to the video game crowd. I don't know if that's the official reason, but that kind of feels like what it is to me. I mean, we've had... Let's see, what was the last good game? Shadow of Apocalypse?
Probably, yeah.
And that had a lousy ending. So, I mean, you had the Superman Returns game, and the flight controls on that were just a pain in the butt. I finally got a copy several years ago and played it a little bit, and I was just like, wow, this is just kind of... this is kind of annoying. But, I think in talking to people who are video game fans, it always comes up that, Superman's just too powerful. How do you make a game with an unbeatable character? And it's just like, give him time limits. Give him a series of tasks that you have to do in a certain period of time. Like what this game seems to be doing is that you've got certain things you have to do and take care of and get a compelling story around it. The Arkham games for Batman were successful, one, because they were fun to play, but two, I think it's because most of them had a really neat story behind them. So do something with Superman on a similar level. Though I think any Superman game that has Annihilated as one of your abilities is probably not the best, but still, my point stands, is that a Superman game... I mean, look at the Lego games. You get to play Superman in the Lego DC games, and I think they're just as fun as the other characters. So it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't.
So yeah, it's called Undefeated. It's available for free via the on the Steam. Available on Steam. It's you just go to steampowered.com and look for Undefeated, and you need a operating system running either Windows 7, 8, or 10 with a 64-bit processor. And yeah, it's available now. So it's 3 gigabytes download, which might take a little bit of time depending on your network availability. But from all accounts, it's well worth checking it out. Would like to see if it was made for the Apple Mac, but for those who have a Windows PC system, enjoy. Get out and get it.
It just occurs to me that the way you do it is that you trip hammer through Superman's career. You have like a Golden Age level, a Silver Age level, a post-crisis level, a Superman Red, Superman Blue level, like Red Sun. I mean, it's just, like, literally the sky is the limit. But no one wants to dump money into Superman, I think is what it really comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. No one at this point in time, unfortunately. But speaking of video games that are available, DC Entertainment and Budge Studios released the new DC Superhero Girls Blitz game. And this is a game now available both on the App Store for Apple devices and Google Play. You can play crazy fast games with your favorite DC Superhero Girls characters. And I've got a bit of a video here of a trailer for that, so let me play that for you right now.
We are the DC Superhero Girls! Play super fast games while fighting evil! Wow! That looks unbelievable! It's incredible! Woohoo! 100% awesome! Swing! Go, go, go! I can't breathe! No way! This is amazing! Yes! Outstanding! Wow! ultra cool hideout. Super speed! We're a squad, we're a team! We are the DC Superhero Girls! Play this awesome game!
So there you have it, DC Superhero Girls Blitz. So it says you can join for some crazy fast games and challenges. Be ready to jump, dance, zip line, and climb your way around the city as you help earn stars that'll upgrade their super secret hideout. And there are 24 super fast games, and you get to meet the DC Superhero Girls and decorate their hideout. And sounds like a lot of fun for if you're of that age group or of that persuasion that you want to kind of get into those particular games.
Yeah, I mean, they look fun. I'm never going to like that Supergirl design. I really like. I keep coming to it and being like, okay, this time I'm going to look at it and I'm going to be like, that's not Power Girl. And then I watch the character move and act, and I'm like, no, that's pretty much Power Girl. So
true.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, at least she's got a full costume.
Yes.
So, something else that happened this week, and I think it's been around for a while, but it really wasn't that well known, or wasn't that much fanfare about it, was the DC Word Creator website, dcwordcreator.com. It's pretty much what you do is you create your own title graphic using the letters D and C from the DC Comics logo to make your own word up, your own image, your own graphic, and you can upload images or use the ones that are available in the library there. This is one that I put together using Superman Caped Champion, and that's one of the graphics of Superman that I have available on the website itself. But you can upload your own images within reason. Obviously, they don't allow certain types of images for obvious reasons.
What are you talking about?
Well,
Steve?
I tried to upload one of Brainiac that for some reason got rejected. It says, "Oh no, we can't use that. Would go to Arkham Asylum." And I was like, "What? Okay, don't know what's so risque about Brainiac." But anyway,
it's the bald head. It's just
probably too much skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So what you can do, you got to be a little bit creative in trying to come up with a word or phrase that has D and C back to back, so that you can create some kind of phrase for your image. But that was the best I could do. Caped Champion.
Yeah, I've seen these, and I'm like, God, that is so limiting.
Yeah.
Like, it's a neat idea, but it's just like it's got to end with a D, and the next one's got to start with a C. Good luck.
Or it's got to be a word that has D, C right in the middle, like Mad Cup or something like that. Not that that makes sense, but you know what I'm saying. It's got to be a word that has, and there aren't many words that have D and C back to back in there.
Mad Cup.
Mod Cons.
It was the sequel to Mad Love. It didn't do as well.
No, not at all. So that's my creative genius on display right there. So yeah, make up your own image, and then you use the hashtag DC Universe to share it on social media, and away you go.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort at getting like fan interaction. I just, again, I don't quite get it. It's kind of weird.
It is kind of, but my interview that we mentioned earlier with author Michael Northrop took place last Friday my time, so it would have been Thursday night his time, and it was set up nicely thanks to the people at DC Comics who allowed me to have a good 20-minute, half-hour chat with Michael. He's a massive fan of comic books, DC in particular, and him and artist Gustavo Duarte, collaborated on this great graphic novel. It's an all-ages book. It is aimed mostly for younger type readers. He worked at Sports Illustrated Kids for a number of years, and so he's been involved with the children's market for quite a while. But when I interviewed him, as you'll see in the video that I'm about to play, he was wearing an Alex Ross Superman T-shirt, you know, and you could just tell he was a geek, a fan, you know, just loved the whole comic book stuff, and being able to write a DC property of this type with the graphic novel, you could tell he was tickled pink to be able to be involved with it. He had so many ideas for upcoming stuff and other projects, and does have a Dear Supervillains book coming up to follow on the back of Dear Justice League, and that'll be out sometime in 2020. So here's a bit of my interview with Michael Northrop. It does get a little bit, like the picture does kind of hold up a little bit throughout the interview, but the audio thankfully continues. I'll play the first couple of minutes of it. Well, I'm Steve Eunice from SupermanHomepage.com, talking to Michael Northrop, the author of Dear Justice League, the new graphic novel published by DC Comics under the DC Zoom label. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Now, I was happy to receive the copy of this graphic novel, which I love the idea about, the story of the DC Comics superhero characters sharing letters and emails and messages from their fans, and asking questions like, does Superman ever make mistakes? Does Wonder Woman listen to her parents? Does Aquaman smell like fish? Like, these are great questions from fans. Firstly, before we get into the graphic novel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and the things you've been working on? Because I believe this is your first graphic novel.
Yes. Yeah, so, this is my first graphic novel. I've written a lot of books for young readers. It's my first graphic novel, but it's my 13th book for kids or teens. The first 12 were all with Scholastic. Started out doing mostly young adult novels, and then sort of like transitioned younger to mostly middle grade recently. So, you know, a lot of experience writing for this age group, but yeah, definitely a first for me with the graphic novel.
So there you have it. That's just a bit of a chat with Michael Northrop about the Dear Justice League graphic novel, which is a fantastic read. I mentioned it on here before. I loved reading it. It's a really fun book to get into, so make sure you check it out, and check out the full interview both on our YouTube channel and on our Superman homepage website. I don't know why my background was blurred during that interview. It was weird. It doesn't happen here on this thing, so I wasn't aware that it was happening at the time until it was recorded later on. Maybe it was trying to do a green screen thing. I don't know what it was doing there, but it's very strange. So I apologize for that, but no particular reason that happened. It's just a technology thing. So we have time for a This Week in History, if you're prepared for that, Michael. Yes, we do. I will play the intro for you right now.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bubble of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
Whoops.
You know.
Sorry, you were just muted for a second there. Do you want to start again?
Yeah, sure. Starting in 1949, since there was no Superman book in 1939, we have Action Comics number 137. It was a Superman story called The Man with the Charmed Life. It has this great cover of Lois getting shot, but the bullets are bouncing off her chest. Bumping up to 1959, I'm going off of Mike's Amazing World of Comics here, so I don't know if release dates were weird back then, but apparently both Lois Lane, Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane number 12, and Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 40 came out within the same week, but on different dates. I'm not quite sure how that works, but, you know, whatever. Going to 1969, we have Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, with Lois Lane and the Girl Who Died for Superman, and Weep for Lois Lane's Baby. It's got this great cover of Superman dying of kryptonite poisoning while this this creepy guy is just talking to Lois and her friend, who apparently can't talk because their word balloons are blank. Jumping to 1989, we have a very interesting first appearance. Action Comics number 645 came out this week. It came out on the... no, I'm wrong. Sorry. I apologize. I don't think there was a Superman book. No, I read that date wrong. But that was the first appearance of Maxima.
Okay.
So, 1999, yeah, there was a Superman book. That's because there was one every week back then. Action Comics number 758. This is looking to be part of the Dominus storyline. We're coming up, though, on the 20th anniversary of when Eddie Berganza took over as editor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's in a couple months. And in 2009, not only do we have Action Comics number 880, which was part of the New Krypton storyline, the codename Patriot, but Adventure Comics number 1 came out, and that was the return of Connor Kent as Superman. It was Jeff Johns wrote it with Francis Manifold doing the artwork. I loved that storyline. I don't know if you remember it all that well, but the artwork was great, and it was just kind of great having Connor back at that point. And I'm trying to look for the real world stuff, which should be on the side of the page. Let's go somewhere else here. But no, it's just kind of weird to think that, 10 years ago, I was getting more and more frustrated with the Superman books as they were coming out. New Krypton went on just a little too long, I think. I think that was the only point. Here we go. So we have in the real world, found it. Yeah, Phyllis Thaxter, Martha Kent, died in 2012 on August 14th. On August 15th, Scott Cranford, the official town Superman of Metropolis from 2000 to 2007.
Nice man.
And star of that World's Finest movie trailer that was really awesome.
Yeah.
Was born in 1967. And August 17th, coming up in just a couple of days, traditionally recognized as the birthday of Lois Lane.
There you go. An August baby. That's it.
Yep, that's it. That's all I got.
Quite
I'm
weak,
sorry.
yeah.
There wasn't a... I would have gotten more mileage if I got to talk about Maxima for 5 minutes.
Venkman's going...
I can't read.
He's shuddering at the New Krypton recollection, and
yeah,
and people are going like, why do people hate New Krypton so long? Why did they hate it? Is it because it went too long? Is it because it dragged out?
I think it was a weird time period for Superman because 2007 was like the year where everything was late, and there was a couple months where there were no Superman books. And everything got back on track in 2008, but I don't think the audience was receptive to the story they were telling, because it was a Superman, the government against Superman story, which became a thing later on, which is why I think I had such a problem with Batman v Superman. But you had like a couple years of everyone hating Supergirl. And then her books started getting good again, but you were still dealing with all the fallout of the things she had done. And, on its own, it's an interesting concept. 100,000 Kryptonians are suddenly on Earth. What does that mean? What does the idea of Kandor being enlarged mean? What if there are forces within the government that don't trust Superman, and now they're faced with 100,000 Superman? And what if people on Krypton are like, why don't we just take over the Earth? I mean, it's, these humans are so far beneath us. But the audience just wasn't there for it. And I understand there was some editorial meddling in there as well.
So there you have it. Also, I'm just about to publish this on the website in the next half hour. The Back Issues magazine, which is published by Tomorrow's, they're taking pre-orders for their upcoming 116th issue, and it contains the October 2019 full-color 84-page magazine. Is all about monsters. It's a superheroes versus monsters issue, and the Halloween-themed issue will contain 2 Superman-related articles, one by editor Michael Urey, who I believe you know a fair bit about, and Superman homepage writer James Lance also has an article in the magazine on Dark Knights, Kryptonians, Predators, and Aliens, oh my, which looks at the DC and Dark Horse Comics Superman versus Aliens and Batman versus Predator crossovers from the 1990s. The current issue 115 is a sci-fi superhero themed issue. It's on sale as of tomorrow, and features another article by James Lance from the Superman homepage, looking at Paul Levitz and Steve Ditko's Starman, which includes a team up with Superman from DC Comics Presents number 36.
Yeah, my Michael Urey represents, I think, my first on-camera work for the Superman homepage, as you filmed an interview I did with him for the homepage when we were in Metropolis in 2008.
Yeah, there you go. Way back when.
So long ago.
Yes. Well, that pretty much.
This great.
That pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's program. But before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live, and once again thanks to everyone in the comments there on YouTube for your participation in the show, and a big thank you to you, my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
You'll be able to go get some sleep after a long day.
Yes.
And a huge thank you to our sponsor and patron, Douglas Meacham. And remember, if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, you can do so for as little as $1. All you have to do is head to patreon.com/Superman homepage. Now, the complete 1-hour video of tonight's show will still remain available on the Superman homepage website and our YouTube channel if you'd like to watch it back, or perhaps you missed part of the show. But Michael and I will be back next week for another show on Tuesday, August 20th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.